Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here at High Point Elementary. I want to thank everybody. Mike, where's Mike, and Annette, thanks for hosting us. We really appreciate it. I also want to recognize we have Nick DeSigli and Tracy Coster here. Is Latvala here? I didn't see him. Okay. So we have them, and we also have some teachers and parents who are going to talk about today's important announcement. So today we're announcing that we're going to be pursuing legislation to end the FSA in the state of Florida and move towards a system that is more responsive to students' needs, more teacher-friendly and parent-friendly of progress monitoring. And we believe in accountability. We're going to continue to measure results because we think that's important. At the same time, I think it's become apparent that the FSA is outmoded. This is 2021. We have the ability to monitor progress in ways that's customizable for each student. The FSA obviously takes a lot of time at the end of the school year. It's kind of the one big test that will be done. But then if you identify deficiencies, the school year's already over. And so we think monitoring throughout the school year makes more sense. Parents are not getting the timely information that they need with an FSA-type model. And as I said, it's really too late for the teachers and parents to work to remediate because it's done at the end of the school year. So the progress monitoring will be 75% reduction in the time for testing. There'll be fall, winter, and spring opportunities to check in on the growth. As you spot deficiencies, teachers and parents can then work to identify and rectify those, which we think will be a big deal. This will also be done in a way that's unique to each student, that'll be customizable. We have the tools now in the year 2021 to be able to do that. And we also think getting the timely data back is really, really significant so that schools and teachers and parents are able to do. It also provides the schools and teachers and students the ability to improve throughout the school year. So this is something that is when you have certain things you want to accomplish with terms of accountability, which is important. We want to measure results, want to make sure people are actually learning. At the same time, you can't just be wedded to the old ways of doing things. And if there's better ways to do it, then we've got to move in that direction. And if you look at so much time that gets put in, particularly at the end of each school year, for these testing, I think the progress monitoring will be less time for testing, but more time for learning, which is really I think the most important thing. So we're excited about this. I think you're going to end up seeing broad support for it in the legislature, and the goal will be this would be the last year of the FSA, this 21-22 school year. The next school year, you would have the progress monitoring in. That would serve kind of as a benchmark year to figure out where we were. And then the following year, you would proceed where that would be, those results would be measured similar to how we have in the past. I want to thank Richard Corcoran for helping to work on this, and we're going to hear from some of the folks here today. But this will be, I think, welcome news to a lot of folks throughout the state of Florida. So we have some folks here that are going to weigh in. So first, we have Sarah Painter, one of our great teachers here in Pinellas County, a Teacher of the Year. So Sarah, you want to come up here, let them know who you are, where you teach, and then go ahead and give us your views.
Hi, I'm Sarah Painter, your 2022 Florida Teacher of the Year. I'm 5th grade teacher at Eisenhower Elementary in Clearwater. A statewide progress monitoring tool is exactly what Florida educators and Florida students need right now. With the elimination of Common Core and the transition to the best standards, the window of opportunity to close the achievement gap is at hand. It only makes sense if our entire state is teaching to the same set of standards, that we follow it with a tool that can be used across districts to monitor progress and preserve accountability. This will open doors of collaboration and data analysis as we use the collected data to drive instruction and best meet the needs of Florida students. Progress monitoring works. I know this. Crystal, an ELL student in my classroom last year, entered with a level 1 in mathematics for FSA. But with frequent monitoring and intervention, she was able to score a level 3 only 6 points away from a level 4. And that's because we tracked her data all year long and responded to that data in real time. the accountability that this data collection will provide to administrators, parents, teachers, and students to make instructional decisions in real time rather than as a culminating task is of utmost importance for student success. Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Commissioner Corcoran, for listening to teachers concerning our need for relevant, timely data, and thank you for doing what's best for students.
Okay, we also have Cassandra Vigil to provide some comments.
Hello, everybody. So I am a fifth grade teacher here at High Point Elementary School, and I'm speaking on behalf of my whole school because we all do this, so I don't want to take credit for myself when all the teachers do this. So we constantly use progress monitoring. The kids know. They're like, oh, it's data chat day. So we sit down and we talk about how they did, and that could be just like how they did on their last essay, and we goal set for the next one. Or maybe it's text-dependent questions, and we talk about what they did and how we can do better next time. We also have adaptive computer monitoring systems that we use, and we look at how they're doing on their lessons. But regardless, we're doing it all year round. And what we do here at High Point, and I know many other schools in Pinellas do this as well, is we take the data and we look at not only their weaknesses, but we celebrate their strengths. And we also celebrate their growth. So I remember last year I actually had a child, her name was Cameron, and she took her county test for writing, and she scored a 0 at the beginning of the year, and she was so upset. And I said, don't worry about it. Let's look at what you did. So you did this. Now let's do this next time. And we did that throughout the year after every essay. And by the end of the year, she wrote an 8 out of 10, which is absolutely amazing. And she did the same on FSA. So we already knew and celebrated this before FSA came. And we were constantly monitoring her, and her parents called and were so excited because she did so well on it. So I am ecstatic that we are transitioning to progress monitoring because, like I said, this is something we already do, and we celebrate them throughout the year, and we don't need one test to show us what they've done. So thank you.
Okay, we also have Ladre Kelty, who's a teacher but also a parent. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Ladre Kelty. I'm here to speak as a parent, but like the governor said, I'm also a teacher. I have 2 kids in the Pinellas County school system. I have a 4th grader and a kindergartner. My son Liam, who is in 4th grade now, last year took the FSA for the first time in 3rd grade. And I can't tell you how many times I checked my email over this summer to see if his grades came in, to see if he did well. I believe that if we had a progress monitoring tool, that would have been eliminated. I wouldn't have to worry about that because I could have monitored his progress throughout the year and being able to see and predict what he might score on the FSA. Aiden is in kindergarten. He's not there quite yet, but if it's there now, I can start monitoring his progress. At the same time, I can see his strength and his weaknesses and be better able to help with that at home, work with him on his weaknesses, also encouraging him in his strengths. So to me, the progress monitoring tool will be a great tool for parents to have at home to assist with their kids' academic success. Thank you.
Thanks. Richard? Thanks, Governor.
I just want to say, I've said it before, but working for this governor, obviously we've just done a ton of education, whether it's raising the minimum base pay, eliminating Common Core, digging into early literacy. But this is really special, and it goes to the from the earliest days when I was working for him and he would hire me, he would say, look, here's my focus on education. Do what's right by the students. Whatever decision, policy you guys come up with, ask, is this the best thing for students? And all of that we've done, and this is a perfect example of that. Eliminating the FSA and going to a smarter, better, more efficient accountability system is a fantastic change. I say it's V-Day in education. It's Victory Day, what we're doing. And the teacher said it so well. And this is how we kind of, and listen, these two, obviously, Sarah especially, we talked a ton to, but we've probably talked to over 1,000 teachers over the last 18 months. And where it kind of hit us was when COVID hit, it's a silver lining, if you want, out of the disaster of COVID, was we shut down testing that first year. We said, don't come back from spring break, shut down. And really what we shut down was from April 1st to the end of school year, which is pretty much where we utilize almost all that time for testing. And then what we looked, though, is because everyone, as has been said, every single district utilizes progress monitoring. And so we were looking at the data because we wanted to see, hey, how did this work in the last 6 weeks? And what we noticed were two things. One is progress monitoring, more than anything, gave us a absolute good read of the situation where students were. And to the governor's point, this is 2021. We're in the technological revolution. We have algorithms for everything. Why do we have to have such a laborious, long exam when we have the technology to use and pick up what we're already doing, these progress monitoring, and utilize that and protect the #1 world's best accountability system in the state of Florida? Our accountability system, more than anything else, has lifted education in Florida. We were, when accountability came to the state of Florida, we were in the bottom 5. We're #3 in the nation now, and rising. And thanks to the governor opening up schools and fighting for children, and fighting for parents to have that face-to-face opportunity, I assure you we will be #1. But the thing that accountability did was it shined a light, and the beneficiaries of accountability were low-income kids, minority kids, children with unique abilities. Our greatest gains since accountability has come have been with those children, which is absolutely fantastic. And so how do you take an absolutely fantastic thing and make it special, make it perfect, make it right? And by talking to at least 1,000, maybe more teachers, talking to stakeholders, we recognize that the time is now. We can do it. We can protect our accountability system, still have the #1 accountability system in the state, and now put into place a system that parents can love, and parents can get the feedback from the teachers as they get the feedback, and the students. Only progress monitoring allows you to go from a 0 to an 8. Only progress monitoring takes this school and rises it up to an entire letter grade. That's what progress monitoring does. And now we can use that as the basis of our accountability system. It's a game changer for students, parents, and for teachers. And so, Governor, thank you very much for this initiative. Look forward to helping and working with these great legislators to get it done this coming year. Thank you.
And we're proud to be rated high. What was the 3? Who did that ranking? I remember you showed that to me.
Yeah.
Is that U.S. News or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we actually just on Monday, University of Florida was ranked #5 nationwide for public universities, and so they were basically, I think, 10 years ago they're like 19th, and now they're 5. Texas and Georgia Tech and some really good ones, and in the same classes, universities like Michigan and Virginia and UCLA, which have been around for a long time. Not sure that's going to impress Alabama this weekend, but, you know, one can always hope that we have good things. But we think this is really important, and we also think this is continues to build off a lot of the success that we've had. Last legislative session, we were very proud to be able to do $1,000 bonuses for all principals and public school teachers in the state of Florida as a token of appreciation for all the hard work during COVID. We've also, as Richard alluded to, we've raised the average minimum pay for teachers in Florida, pretty dramatically, and we were in the bottom half of states. Now we're in the top 10 and maybe top 5, depending, because the numbers always change. But bottom line, we've made huge improvements on that. We're proud of doing that. We're also proud of some of the things we've been able to do to foster apprenticeships and skilled trainings, skills-based education. You have kids all across Florida now that can get certified in some of these things, and it's not mutually exclusive. They'll take AP classes and they'll do it, but if you look at some of the job opportunities that you have for things, especially in Florida, they need folks that have skills, and you can earn a very good living, and of course, you won't have to go deep into debt. Now, we're proud of our state universities. Are very affordable. We hold the line on tuition. We defended bright futures and make sure we safeguard that. But some of these other universities, I mean, you go deep into debt, and then some kids are just told you have to get a degree. Then they end up getting a degree in zombie studies, and then they end up not having the C's part for them when they get out. And so all we're trying to say is there's a whole bunch of different ways to be successful. If you go down the road of more vocational education or skills-based education, that is not inferior to someone that would go to college. It's just different people have different ways to succeed. But I can tell you in Florida, you have a lot of opportunities. We're also proud of pushing more civics in our high schools. In particular, we just got the program approved, and we'll be launching it relatively soon, right, where the teachers can go to a civics boot camp, and they get a $3,000 bonus for everyone who participates in that. And I just think it's important that some kids will go to college, some kids will go into the workforce, some kids will do a variety of things. Every single one that graduates out of our school system here is going to be a citizen that is going to have to discharge those duties, and some are more serious about it than others, but at least give them a baseline of knowledge about what our country's all about, the history, the Constitution, all the institutions, and I think we're working hard to do a much better job on that. This announcement today is going to be move us in a direction. Yes, we're going to continue to make sure that we're measuring results, having high standards, but we're going to do it in a way that's more student-friendly, parent-friendly, and teacher-friendly. There's going to be more feedback. There's going to be more individualized assessments that are going to be possible, and there's going to be an ability to be able to rectify some of the problems in ways that if you're not using progress monitoring, you're just relying on the FSA, the ship sails by the time they take that exam. And so I appreciate a lot of the good work that's already being done in this regard throughout the state of Florida. I mean, the one thing we will do is we'll have to have, a relative uniform system of progress monitoring. Different folks are using different ways to do it, so we'll probably have that standardized. But at the end of the day, this is going to save a lot of time. It's going to provide more opportunity for learning. It is going to save money. I mean, look, I'm happy to use resources where it's going to make a difference, but it will save money, and I think it'll end up providing better outcomes. So we're glad to be helping lead this effort, and we appreciate all the good work that our folks are doing up and down the state in terms of our schools. And with that, we can take a question or two.
I'm wondering, you use the FSA test over the years for so many things, for grading schools, evaluating teachers, deciding whether a third grader should be teacher ahead or not, graduating high school. What will happen to all of that without these test results? Will there be some new model that takes its place, or will you reconfigure the way that you do these?
Well, Richard, actually, Richard can probably talk to that in terms of.
That's what we've said, Jeff. The accountability system and all that it measures is unchanged. All we're doing is taking progress monitoring that's already going on in all our districts and using that instead of having this laborious end-of-year examination. And so all of that is unchanged.
So how do you get a school grade?
Because we're going to have the final progress monitoring will be given in the spring, and we'll utilize that to do all of the accountability.
Will you still then have like third grade promotion and retention dates?
Everything stays the same.
I know that Sarasota and Hillsborough school districts responded to the letter. I'm talking about mask mandates. And they said that they are standing by their policies and that they don't believe they're breaking the law because they have a medical opt-out.
Well, I think it's important to point out because, obviously, this is something that some of these school boards have dived into. But if you look around the state, you see numbers for COVID declining everywhere. Pinellas is doing better than Hillsborough, and they obviously have different policies. You look at the same thing in different parts of the state. So at the end of the day, this stuff's going to work its way through the courts. The legislature acted last year providing substantive protections for parents. A lot of parents feel very strongly about it. Our goal was to try to empower the parents to make the best decisions they could. At the end of the day, though, we were comforted in that idea because just like last year when we got the in-person schools, we knew how it was going to go because we had data that accumulated around the world and even in the United States that shows that the schools were not a source of community outbreaks. And that is abundantly clear in Florida this year, even more so, even though we already knew this. Schools open basically the wave has gone almost straight down since the schools opened. I mean, we peaked in the middle of August. Schools came back in the middle of August, and now you're seeing, really significant declines, particularly in the hospital census and the hospital visits, and that includes pediatric admissions and pediatric census as well, which is always very low compared to everything else. But nevertheless, it was something that was talked about a lot in some of the media outlets. So that's just the reality. We also knew this year coming in that having a forcible policy where parents weren't given the option was not producing better outcomes, because we had a whole school year under our belt where many school districts in Florida, didn't have a forced policy, a mandatory policy, charter, private, there was a mix, and the results were very similar. And I think that's what we're seeing play out right now. This is what we had anticipated. And so at the end of the day, the case is going to resolve itself in our favor, I think, in the First District Court of Appeals. But the important thing is these numbers are going down. It's also important, I think everyone acknowledges now that this Delta variant is not more dangerous for kids than the Alpha was, which is obviously good as a parent of 3 young kids. That was a concern of ours when this first happened, and the data has always been very, very positive. I mean, that's just the reality. So that's a good thing, but I think that the trend has been really good, and so you bring millions of kids back into the classroom, and the numbers are going down. So it just shows that schools should never be targeted for closure or any of this stuff with respect to COVID. Look, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, these things obviously have gone up and down in cycles. But in Florida, we're going to make sure parents have the ability to send their kid to school. But in some of these other states, when they start seeing waves like we've just seen, I do worry that they may try to close the schools, but somehow they're targeting schools without any underlying data to show. So we've continued to see numbers decline. That's a really good thing. We're going to talk a little bit more about it later in the week, but our focus on early treatment with the monoclonal antibodies has made a real difference. I mean, our admissions today are the lowest they've been since the middle of July, and it's fallen very, very quickly. Over the last many weeks. We had a big decline today, Monday, Tuesday, which usually you don't see much change in the census the way the hospitals operate. And so we anticipate continuing to see strong declines in the hospital census and fewer people being admitted. We actually, once the word got out about, hey, there's actually something you can do if you're high risk, if you get this treatment, you can get the symptoms resolved. A lot of times we've had great success, but as the word got out, more and more people started going to our sites, which was great. We've actually seen now in the last week, we've seen a decline of people going. More people know about it now than ever. I think that's a positive sign, because I think it means there's fewer people that are needing this right now because the prevalence has gone down. We're gonna have it available, and we want obviously people to be able to access that. In fact, I'm going to talk to some of the monoclonal manufacturers here very soon about what's the long-term prognosis of how this works, because you look around the country. I think the cases are up 300% year over year nationally, even though we have all these people that have recovered from COVID and 210 million people have been vaccinated. So I think that just means we've got to make sure that we're also offering treatments for folks, and so that's what we've done here, and I think it's made a really positive difference. So I think it's 2 things. I think it's one is, even though, I mean, I graduated Dunedin in the pre-FSA era, and so it wasn't something that but I obviously knew it was a big deal. But as I became governor, I was surprised at just how much time went into it. And Richard and I talked about it from the very beginning. This is something we wanted to tackle because you're having less time to learn and so much time for test preparation. And you do need to measure, but man, you don't want to take away that. And it really sunk in when COVID happened. And Richard's like, oh, well, it's April. He's like, oh, well, it's all FSA from here. I'm like, it takes that long. I mean, so I really was, as I learned that how much time went into it, I said, I want more learning and less test prep. But then I think just the fact that we have these tools now as he mentioned, I mean, you can have algorithms, you can figure out like what's the deficiency, so you can do this in a much more effective way, do it with real-time results, and in a way where parents are going to be able to work with teachers to help remediate any deficiencies. The FSA, you do it, and then if you identify deficiencies, the school year's over by the time you get the results. And so this just seems like it's much more sensible, and I appreciate Richard and I mean, we've been talking about this really for the past year and a half probably. Last legislative session, we really focused on the early learning and the teacher bonuses, which was important. This is going to be our primary education reform initiative for the upcoming legislative session. One more. So, my view, I mean, obviously I have a very strong pro-life record. That is obviously, I think, going to have some legal challenges between now and then. So we'll see what happens. But we were happy to sign. I've signed pro-life legislation since I've been governor, and obviously, we believe very strongly in those principles. So, okay, we'll see you guys soon. Take care.